Well, hello everybody. Welcome to another episode on the Fit Lawyer Pod. I am your host, Fit Lawyer Julia. And if you are joining us for the first time, welcome. In today's episode, I spoke with Jesus Yvette. I met Jesus Yvette, who goes by just Yvette, by the way, in August of 2019, and we literally have the best meet story. So we met backstage at the Pacific USA bodybuilding competition, butt ass naked, in line, waiting to get spray tanned right before the show. Um, so that's when that was our first encounter, and then we went on and did the competition. And coincidentally, we ran into each other again after the show when we were out and about in San Diego for our post-show meals and stuff. And then we found each other on Instagram, and the rest is history, or herstory, as we should say. I admire Yvette so much. She is a single mom to two amazing girls. They're so sweet, so kind, and they are growing up so fast, and getting more and more beautiful each day. She is also a business owner out in Indio, California. She owns her own salon. She's a homeowner, a business owner, a bodybuilder, and just a all around badass woman that I admire so, so much. In this episode, we'll talk about her bodybuilding career, the different diets she went through, whether she was dieting for show or just going on different diets like a vegan diet, pescatarian diet, her fitness journey. You'll hear her talk about, before she was a bodybuilder and um, the weight fluxes that she went through. And we both shared our experiences with different bodybuilding coaches in this industry and how important it is to get a good coach who not only knows about the sport, the division you want to compete in, but also someone who you can speak to and relate to. We both share some coach horror stories. Um, so you'll hear about that. But overall, it was just such a beautiful conversation with a friend whom I have not seen for a long time. And as you see this episode, she is actually working on a client's hair during this episode. So she's very, very busy, and I'm very, very appreciative of her taking the time out of her day um, to speak with me, even while she had a client. Um, Honestly, one of the hardest working women I know, and I'm so I'm just in so much awe and admiration of her, and I loved our conversation so much. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed our conversation as well. Okay, well, that means we're live. And so thank you very much, Yvette, for agreeing to be on my podcast. So welcome to the Fit Lawyer Pod. How are you?
Good, good. I'm actually working right now. I had a one of my regulars asked if I could come in and pick her up, so I had some free time. Of course.
Nice. I love that because, as a businesswoman and a single mom, you got to do what you got to do. So I super appreciate you multitasking, talking to me while you're on the job.
Yeah.
But it works because you're your own boss, so it's not like anybody's going to say anything to you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I did forewarn my client. I was like, I'm gonna be on a podcast because technically she is my boss. So she's like, oh yeah, it's fine.
Nice. So then we'll just dive straight into it. How long, she's working right now, she's doing some girls' hair. So how long have you been doing hair?
I've been doing hair since I was 17. That's when I went to beauty, but I was already doing hair. I was doing like updos and makeup since I was 17, and I just turned 40 in July, so you do the math. It's been a while.
Damn.
Yeah.
Dang. I didn't realize you turned 40 in July.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we met, oh man, like 4 or 5 years ago then?
4 years ago.
Dang, time really, really flies.
Five.
Um,
I think this August will be 5 years.
well, we're already in October.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, you're saying August of next year. Yeah, yeah. So our 4 year anniversary just passed because it's the Pacific USA's. So I think Yvette and I's meet stories is honestly one of my favorites. So unlike some of my other guests who I just found through Instagram or met at the gym, Yvette and I actually met butt ass naked backstage for the Pacific USA's waiting to get tanned. And that was my first show. How many shows did you do before that?
That was my second show. Just one.
So that was yeah, so that was her second show. It was the Pacific USA's 2019 here in San Diego. And you know, when you're first of all, as my first show, I did not know what to expect. And I definitely did not expect that we would all be lined up butt ass naked waiting to get a spray tan. That's I literally felt like human cattle.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, we were able to keep our bikinis, and then they just wiped us down afterward. We put cellophane wrap on it. So this my second show. When I met you, I had no idea.
oh,
Yeah, the first one we had cellophane, and then they just wiped our crystals down with baby wipes afterwards. So I was
oh
not.
yeah. I was butt ass naked for that one, and then my second show, my roommate tanned me using Protan, and then my wait no, my second show I also used Tan Master, so also butt ass naked, and then third show, I was yeah, I was tanned by my roommate at home with using Protan, and then my fourth and my most recent show, I went with Lori at Cheat the Beach, also butt ass naked. So this sport is definitely not for the shy. And so obviously, like when Yvette and I met, we weren't like, "Hey, how are you?" We didn't have a whole ass conversation or hug or anything because again, butt ass naked, and we're cold as shit because we're lean. It's backstage.
Yeah, you're
Um,
not a fan.
yes. Oh my gosh, the fans of hell. Um, and then so we did our show, but coincidentally, we actually bumped into each other post show. She was, you know, with her friends, I was with my friends, and I almost didn't recognize her with clothes on. She was like, "Hey," and I was like, "Hey." She was like, "We met at the show," and then I recognized her tattoos. I was like, "Oh, hey," you know, because you don't want to like look too much when you're both just freaking naked. So we bumped into each other after the show and then found each other on Instagram and then went on to do some photo shoots together, did some traveling together, but I haven't seen you in a long time.
Yeah, it's been a minute. Good, good.
Yeah. How's everything out in Indio?
It's getting cooler. It was,
That's good.
yeah. We have a big show coming up this weekend. Metallica will be here. ACD.
Oh,
Ozzy Osbourne was supposed to be here, but he backed out like at the last minute. What is the show called in the park? Power Trip.
power trip.
Yeah, they're hosting it at the Polo Grounds where they have Coachella Fest and Stagecoach.
Oh, shit. Nice. There's quite a few events that happen out there by you.
Yeah.
Nice. Um, so that was your, so when we met, you said that was your second bodybuilding show. And how did you get into bodybuilding? And when was your first show?
I started losing a lot of 5 years ago. I found myself at my heaviest in my life, which was 162. Then I started feeling like really unhealthy and just tired and not good at all. And so I joined like a local private gym, and the
Mm-hmm.
owner happened to be a competitor. And I never thought anything of it. I just thought it was cool because he used to compete. And so I lost like 20 some pounds, almost 30. And I asked him, I said, "Do you think I'd ever be able to compete?" And he said, "Yeah, the way that you lost weight recently and you were able to do this on your own, I really think you'd be able to compete." So the way that I finally was able to lose weight is vegan. I went vegan, and that's how I was actually able to lose weight because not only did I stop eating meat, but I stopped eating processed foods. I stopped like just water, no Diet Coke, no tea, no nothing, just water. And that's how I was able to lose all that weight finally. And so then after that, that's when I started hunting for coaches because my trainer at the time, he was a man, and at the time he was kind of training us all like men.
Yeah.
A friend of mine, an Instagram friend who I didn't know in person, she had competed. She had lost a ton of weight, and she had gotten a coach out in San Diego, and she kind of would like correct my videos, and she's like, "Hey, those workouts you're doing are for like men. You're not supposed to be working out your lower back because it's going to make you wide, and you're not supposed to."
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about bodybuilding like at all. I didn't even know how much I could lift. When I finally hired a coach, she would ask me like, "So how much can you bench and how much can
Yeah.
you squat?" And I had no idea because the coach that I was going with, he would just put the plates and he would put the weight and he would tell me, "Okay, do 5 of these or do 10 of
Yeah.
these." But he never really taught, like I didn't know what any of the machines were called. I didn't know anything. It was so crazy. And so I started hunting for a coach. At the time, there wasn't any good coaches out here in the desert. Everybody that was competing out here was going to San Diego. So
Okay.
that's
I wanna backtrack a little bit to the
yeah,
beginning of your fitness journey, I guess. So you stated, you found yourself at your heaviest and just physically not feeling good, and then you transitioned to vegan. Was that just like a switch? Did you ease into it? Because that's pretty extreme to go from eating everything going straight
yeah.
to being a vegan.
I didn't realize how much it was gonna affect me culturally. Um, culturally, my family was like super shocked because obviously I grew up watching them cut open the goats and then we would be eating birria or barbacoa after. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I kind of just cold turkey. I was gonna turn 34 and I said, you know what? For my 34th birthday, I'm gonna go vegan. And I did. Just cold turkey. I did see a doctor, a holistic doctor, just to make sure that I
Okay.
was doing it the right way and I wasn't starving myself or malnutritioning, and I was make sure that I was intaking all the proper um, food, greens, grains, and getting my my vitamins and
Yeah.
everything because I've always been low in iron growing up. Wanted to, obviously you stop eating meat, that's like your quick way to absorb iron. And he was very proud of me. He said that he has to put a lot of people on vegan diets when they have illnesses, and I was actually doing it just for my own, health, just because I just wanted to be healthier, and that really helped me to make sure that I stayed on track. I did get sick once because I'm a very bad eater, and I wasn't eating enough, so I had needed 2 iron transfusions.
Oh shit.
Yeah, but
When was that before you started competing?
yeah.
Okay. And
Oh,
then so by the
I went
so
vegan the end of July, and I had needed the iron transfusions by January. So 6 months later.
oh wow. How do they do an iron transfusion?
Just through IV.
Oh, so it's different than a blood transfusion. It's just the iron?
Yeah, it's just iron.
Oh, interesting. So then when you started doing bodybuilding, you were already vegan for how long?
For almost a year.
And
No,
how was that? And how was that? Because that's pretty rare to have a vegan bodybuilder, a vegan competitor, even like pescatarian, I think is pretty rare. So, how was prepping and competing on a full vegan diet?
my coach wouldn't train me if I was vegan. Um, The way she would train me is if I at least went pescatarian. So that's what I did. Actually,
Okay.
vegetarian. So we started off with vegetarian. So I was just doing egg whites for most of my meals, like 90% of my meals. And I got grossed out pretty quickly because
Yeah.
I didn't know how to prep and I didn't know how to do all that. So I was just doing simple meals. I was married at the time, and my ex husband used to cook. And so he would kind of know what to do for some of the meals. Like he would make me egg bites with like a little bit of seasoning and stuff.
Mhm.
Even that got really old. So I think I was only vegetarian for I want to say like 2 weeks, and then I was like, I can't do this. It's super gross. I'm like getting grossed out. And she,
Yeah.
okay, you think you can eat shrimp? I said, yeah. So then we added shrimp, and then shortly after that, we were able to add fish. So I've been pescatarian for almost 5 years, but I haven't had.
Oh, wow. And so since, you're someone who has gone through these dietary changes, is there one diet that you feel best on?
Pescatarian.
So,
Pescatarian, good. The only thing is that every once in a while I will have vegan
you'll have vegan what?
meals.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
You
like
know,
I won't again, but I crave like the grains, and I crave the tofu, and I just crave like I don't know. My body kind of just asks for it. But with that same token, when I try to go back to vegan, my body will ask for fish.
okay.
Like
So
I get
now, so right now, like you say, you're a pescatarian, but you'll have like full vegan meals. Do you kind of just eat now more intuitively, whatever your body is craving?
yes.
Good. I think that's honestly like most healthy, because your body will honestly tell you a lot. I was a pescatarian for, well, I was a vegetarian from like 10 to like 18, and like you said, it was also a cultural shock. I was also a kid, so then my mom was also like really annoyed that like I just refused to eat meat and fish and stuff. Um, and I don't know if it's because I was a kid and my body was young or whatever, but I was fine being a vegetarian, for those 8 years. But it was like when I was 18, I went off to college, and um, the late night munchies. I was just like, oh, that salad is not hitting. I'm gonna have to take a bite of yo whatever food my roommates got, and it would be cheesy, it would be fried, it would be just as junk foody as you can imagine. But it was actually in college that I one time did have like a little blackout situation. I just felt so lightheaded. And then that's when I transitioned to pescatarian. And I always call fish the gateway meat because it started off with fish and then chicken. And
Yeah.
then now I eat everything.
Yeah.
um, so it's been what, 4+ years since your last competition. Is that something you see yourself doing again, or have you hung up the bikini for good?
It's so hard to it's something that it saved my life. Bodybuilding definitely saved my life in for a lot of different reasons. Um, so it's hard to let it go completely. But I had said I was gonna compete by the time I turned 40, and here I am at 40, and I didn't compete. But then I told myself, um, well, 40 is a year long, right?
Yes.
So I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna say no, I didn't do it because I'm already 40 and I didn't compete because I'm still 40.
Yes.
So and just recently I got back into the gym and following my same routine that I was doing 4 years ago with my first coach. Um, Not to a T, because then that means I'd have to be at the gym for 2 hours,
Right.
and I can't do that anymore because, like I'm a single mom, and so I have to be home at a certain time to get my girls
Mm.
ready and fed and take them to school. Um, so I only do an hour, but now I'm waking up even earlier because I started doing cardio finally after like I don't know 2 years. Um, so I wake up at 4 and I get to the gym at 4:30, 4:45.
I think your
I put
hand
the
is
alarm.
covering the
Oh,
bottom of your phone. Yeah, so just hold the phone by the
yeah.
sides. Yeah.
So I get to the gym by 4:45, 5 o'clock, and then I do 15 minutes of cardio. I either sprint or I do incline for 15 minutes. Or I'll rotate, and then I'll do
Hmm.
my um my chingadera.
Lift.
Yeah. And then
um,
so that's kind of motivating me. And then on top of that, I have a meal prepping company that what's the word? They sponsor me. And so I kind of feel like I don't have an
what's
excuse.
the meal prep company? Shout them out.
It's a black box meal prepping.
Black Box Meal
Meal prep.
Prepping. And then are they only in the desert
Yeah.
or are they okay?
Yeah, they're in the desert, but I don't have an excuse. Like that's
Yeah.
one of the hardest things for us is to meal prep and to have our meals ready, and I have no excuse. I'm already working out. I'm already getting up. I already have my meals. So now I just have to take the initiative and actually push.
Yeah. And for your workout, your lifts down, like are you with a coach or are you just doing kind of your own little
No,
pre-prep?
I just do my own. I'm just like I said, I'm using the same training that I used when I was with my first coach out in San
Yeah.
Diego. I just pull up her notes and then other workouts that I've learned through other coaches that I've had along the way. Um, and it's fun, but for the most part, when I was competing, I didn't have like no one trained me or anything. Um, I just what I my little cousin is training with me right now. This is her first time ever working out, and she's like super 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 tiny. When she started working out with me, she was like 119 pounds.
Oh wow.
She's very very slim. She has three boys, and this is her first time working out ever. And so it's the cutest thing because we are 4 weeks in, and she's like, "Cousin, look," and I'm like, oh my God, I cannot believe how fast you're growing muscle. And she's like, yeah, like, I go to your mom's house and I show my grandma and I show my dad. She's super excited because in 4 weeks, she started
Yeah.
growing muscle. But in the beginning, I would check on her and I was like, have you eaten? Have you eaten? What have you ate?
Yeah.
What have you ate? And so I think that's motivating me to like really get back into it because someone like she's kind of counting on me. And
Yeah.
so she's like, oh, I really wish you would compete again. She's like, and maybe I could do it too. And I said, you know what? Maybe you could. You'd make like a perfect bikini competitor because you're so tiny and all
Yeah.
you have to do is build muscle. And it's not easy because you're going to have to grow and that's not easy for you. But, so I think that's kind of motivated me to get back into it.
I love that. It's like the buddy system where, you guys are
Yeah.
holding each other accountable and you guys are family. There, if, like you said, when you first transitioned to veganism, there was like a cultural shock and it really kind of shocked your parents. So, if she does compete and she has to be on a meal plan or fit certain foods to her macro, you'll be able to like be there and guide her on that as well. And then, like you said, also kind of help you take accountability as well. So that's really really cool. And you mentioned, so first of all, I want to give huge props and huge kudos to you because I don't know how you do everything you do. You have two amazing daughters that you raise. You have your own business. And I think what people don't understand is like, your business is obviously doing hair but there's so much more to that, right? Like people may think you just do some coloring, some cutting, but there's admin work behind that as well. You also own um the
The property.
property.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's very that's a big deal. I don't think people realize that because a lot of hairstylists rent booths where
Yeah. Yeah,
they
I
have
ran
to
it
pay
for many
money.
years.
Super kudos to you for that, because that's definitely not easy. And in addition to owning the property that you work out of, you also own your personal residence as well.
Right.
So that's, that's a lot to juggle. So how was it competing? Because that's very time consuming. So for those who don't know, like, competing is very, very time consuming. Like Yvette said, in addition to prepping your food and going to the gym and doing the cardio, as you're in a calorie deficit, you're physically tired. You just don't physically have the strength to do the strength or energy to do some of those other things. So how was it prepping as a mom and a business owner? How did you kind of balance your time and stuff like that?
So, I think, like, and I didn't even realize this until right now that I'm actually talking to you about it, but honestly, looking back on it, because I feel like I can't physically do it again right now. I feel like I was running on adrenaline. I feel
Yeah.
like because I would constantly get in trouble with my coach because, as you know, I post everything, and she was like, "I cannot believe you're at Disneyland. You're supposed to be resting." And I'm like, "Oops," and so I like caught myself not posting everywhere that I take my daughters because I was, you're supposed to be resting, but I never really got tired. And when I would just tell the girls, "Hey, give me 15 minutes. I'm gonna lay down for a little bit," and so I would do that. But for the most part, I was always on the go. I think it didn't hit me until like close to competition when I would take them to birthday parties and I would see all the cake and the food, and we would literally be there for like 15, 30 minutes, and I would tell the girls, "Okay, we gotta go. I don't feel good," because
Yeah.
I felt like I was missing out, and everybody was eating and enjoying themselves, and I'm just like, "Okay, girls, let's go." And but that's the only thing that I really noticed. But through it all, it was very cool because I just I think I was running on adrenaline, and it obviously was nothing I've ever done before, so my brain was just probably excited and you know.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I during my first show, I was also working full time at a law firm, and prepping for my first show. And exactly like you said, like, looking back, I don't even know how I did it, because when I think about my more recent shows, I was just like, dang, I cannot imagine adding another 45, 50 hours of work on
Yeah.
top of that. Um, but again, it was like my first show and I was super duper excited. So
Yeah, same
that
here.
is like that first show adrenaline. But as a business owner, did you feel like other aspects of your life uh were taking a backseat while you were on prep at
Um,
all?
I think so, but it was a lot at the moment because I was actually going through a divorce when I was competing and all of that
Oh
was
shit.
happening. So, I did lose a lot of clients because of the divorce, and um, it it was hard. It was hard because towards the end of my last prep, I ran out of money, and my ex husband doesn't help financially, and it was really hard. And I thought I was gonna have to sell one of my properties because it just got really hard, and um, I think emotionally it was just taking a the only that's why I said bodybuilding saved my life, because I think if I wouldn't have been doing that, I would have probably been what a lot of newly single moms do is they party, they drink, they go
Yeah.
out, and I didn't have that option because I was on prep. So I had to be home. I couldn't be drinking. I couldn't go on dates. I couldn't nothing. Like I just stayed home with my kids, and that kind of saved me. But I feel like I've learned to plus my clients that stayed with me after everything, all the chaos that are still with me, they are super excited. Some of the clients I've had for like literally 17, 18 years, they're kind of like, um, it was just something you had to do and you've done it and that's it. Like get back to
Yeah.
business, get back to focusing on your girls, get back to focusing on the shop. And I'm just like, yeah, you're right. But then deep down inside, I'm like, yeah, but I want it for me. Like that's something
Yeah.
for me. My mom told me the same thing, and she's my number one support group. So I kind of have to listen to her
Oh.
because the last show she was like, "So what'd you win?" And I'm like, "Nothing, mom." And she's like, "You spent all that money, and you didn't win anything." And I'm just like, "Ah, you don't understand." But
Yeah.
but yeah, it did interfere a little bit um because of everything that was going on. But I feel like if I were to be able and have the opportunity to do it once again, it would be for a different reason and it would be a little more gratifying. And I, now that I'm older, because it makes a huge difference, 5 years makes a big difference.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like I would just appreciate it more and be more grateful and just know how to balance everything a little better. I was a wreck back then. I was just doing cardio when I had to and all every I was like a little machine. And I feel like now the way, and you know what, the way bodybuilding is now is not like a machine. I see people and like their meals and stuff and it's a lot more flexible. Back
Yes.
then it was just like tilapia, like a quarter cup of rice and 2 ounces of avocado, and that was it. Like that was every single meal. And now I see people
Yeah.
prepping their meals and it actually looks delicious, and they've
Mm-hmm.
learned how to like I've learned how to macro, like how to count my macros, and it's just
Yes.
so different now. And I'm like, man, I wouldn't be starving anymore because that was the thing back then. Like I just when I competed, I looked like I was just hungry with a little bit of muscle. So my goal, if I were to do it again, is I want to look strong
Yeah.
and healthy. I don't want to look, you know.
Yeah. To piggyback off what you said, my first two shows I was on, so my first show I was with a coach I just found online. And he pretty much just gave me a generic plan. You know,
Mhm.
he's a pretty big time coach. He has pro girls and Olympian girls. So I think when I reached out to him, he was just like, all right, like you ain't gonna be shit. It's your first show, but let me take this money first. Let me take your
Yeah,
money first. And
yeah.
that's exactly what he did. And so, it was a very generic meal plan. And then my second coach was a local coach, but it was during COVID. So it's like we would prep for a show, but then the show would get canceled. So it was just a shit show of a year. And I was also on a meal plan then, but my last two shows, I was prepping on macros. And that has been a game changer. And my
Yeah.
coach, who is in school to be a registered dietitian, is she does it science based. It's all macros. Pretty much up until a month out, I was literally eating whatever fit the macros. It was just really kind of the last month where she was like, okay, let's clean this up, like less processed food. Let's stick to the basics, the chicken, the fish, the shrimp, just to clean out a lot of that processed stuff. And that has actually been such a game changer. I've learned so much from her. Her name's Julia Singh. I will put her information in the description below because she is the only coach I want to shout out. um, because I know you've had some not so good experiences with your coach. I don't
Yeah.
know if you want to share, but for me, it was like I want a coach that is going to be supportive, that I can relate to, that I feel comfortable talking to, and I don't think I'm going to get a male coach again because I don't necessarily feel comfortable talking to them about female issues, whether that's about my period or just how I'm feeling emotionally. I don't know if you have the same sentiment or, but
Well, I'm going through some what is it called? I'm going through some court stuff right now, and I was looking through text messages to send my friend for my legal stuff, and I saw a few screenshots from my first coach calling me fat and telling me that I was fat and telling me that I was gonna be fat. I was reading them and I was just like, oh Lord Jesus, why did I do that to myself? But like if you keep eating like that, you're gonna be, oh my god, you're 127. You're already super huge for your size. And I'm reading these screenshots and I'm just like, wow, I cannot believe there's people out there like that.
Yeah.
And this is a very well-known coach as well. I
Yeah.
see her on stage at muscle contest all the time, and I'm just like, man, I really hope that she's not talking like that to other new up and comers.
Yeah.
Because I did ask, I became really good friends with the rest of the girls on my team, and I would ask them like, hey, does she call you fat? Like, does she tell you these things? And they're like, what? No. Like it was even hard for them to believe, and I'm like, yeah, like they have,
Oh.
constantly. Yeah,
So,
nobody, none of them.
oh, so she was really just saying that type of shit to you.
Yeah, even my friend whom took me with her to like, who used to be her coach. I even asked her like, hey, does she ever call you any of these things? And she's like, no. Like I wouldn't. First of all, I wouldn't
That's
allow it.
so weird.
Super weird. Yeah. And so even like 2 years ago, I told my friend who's from here who took me to her, I said, you know what, I might go back to her because she's the only one that got me to lose weight. And she's like, Yvette, no,
Yeah, no,
don't do
you
that.
cannot.
That's
No,
super
don't do that.
toxic. Like you were like emotionally, she was just,
Yeah.
it was just bad. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
do not go
no,
back
I
to
would never. I
her.
would never. I was just like in a
um,
desperate spot where I like,
yeah.
because I am like at my heaviest that I've been in the last 4 years. And so when I saw the scale starting to go up, I was like, oh my God, I need help. I need help. And she's the first person that came to mind, but emotionally, it would have been a catastrophe. Like
No.
it would have not been good.
If you do want to compete and get a coach, I'll definitely send you my coach's information. Like I cannot like rave about her enough.
Yeah. Well,
Both
you looked
knowledge,
amazing.
thank you. Both like
Yeah.
knowledge wise as well as just like emotionally wise. I first of all, I'm really sorry. We've actually talked about this before, but I'm really sorry that, like that's the experience you had. But I think a lot of if you talk to bodybuilders, like they all kind of have their horror coach story, especially girls. I've talked to girls who said, hey, is it normal that my coach is asking me for nude check-ins? I'm like, what the fuck? No. Like the
No.
fuck? Nah, you not
Yeah.
naked on stage. Why would you want naked
Yeah.
check-ins? Or why would they want naked check-ins? And like,
That's
let
so
me
weird.
guess, it's a male coach. And they're like, yeah, they said they just want to see like my full physique. And I'm like, no, they want to see your titties, girl. Like they want to
Oh
see
my
your
God.
titties.
Yeah.
Um, and so I definitely think getting the right coach is so, so important. And that's something I've had to learn as well. Like, you're hiring them, you're giving them a business. Interview them like it's a job interview. I didn't do that with my first coach, but I've done that with all my other coaches thereafter. Like, it definitely needs to be a good fit. But I just think it's so weird and that your coach really was just kind of a bully to you and not the other
Yeah.
girls.
Mhm.
um I wonder if it's just because you're so nice and sweet and she knew that she could get away with it with you. um but that's very unfortunate. So let that let that be a lesson.
Yeah.
um but you're still, I know you said, you gained some weight, but I see you on Instagram. I know I haven't seen you in person in a minute, but I think you look great.
Thank
And you
you.
also got to remember, as bodybuilders, like it's not just about the scale, right? Like you've
Right.
obviously gained more muscle
Right.
than you had a few years ago, and that shit is heavy. So, I was the heaviest I've been at the beginning of my last prep, which was 143. That's the heaviest I've ever been. But when I look back at the beginning of my prep photos versus when I was 130 a few years ago, like I look better. Like I look
Yeah.
leaner
Me too.
at 143.
I
Yeah.
do notice that I do not look 150 like I looked 150 back then, you
Yes.
know.
And I think that's what's, important to focus on. And the biggest thing for me is always about health, right? Like I tell
Yeah.
people, bodybuilding sometimes isn't necessarily the healthiest thing for you.
No, it is not.
Um, it's a sport, and for me, I will always be preaching about health. I personally just happen to love bodybuilding, for the similar reasons that you said. It kept my ass home. It got me stop drinking alcohol, and I've learned so much about nutrition and what it does for my body. Um, but again, like I think health is first and foremost. So, whatever weight you're at, you look great, and as long as you feel good
Yeah.
and your doctor says you're good, then you and I know don't trip about them numbers unless
Yeah.
it's got a dollar sign in front of it. That's what I always say. And I know we touched a little bit on it before. You were saying how when you were going through some financial difficulties, you almost had to sell a property, but you didn't have to do that, right? Like you were able to get
No,
that
yeah,
figured
I
out.
rented it out. I rented it
Good.
out for a year, and my daughters and I moved into my salon because my salon used to be a house, and I converted it to a commercial property. So it still had 2 bedrooms, and
Yeah.
so we moved in here. And ironically or coincidentally, that was in January, and then March COVID happened. So
Oh, nice.
we were here through COVID, and my house was being rented out through that time. That's when you came out to visit me with
Yes.
Bandit. And and then a year later, that's when the girls were like, we want to go back home. We miss our rooms.
Yeah.
Um so I was able to go back home. And we've been there ever since.
Nice. And I think like being a homeowner is not easy. And you own two properties. You converted one to a commercial property, which is such a smart business move. I think, when people think about bodybuilders, sometimes they're like, oh, they're just meatheads. But obviously, you are very financially savvy, and you're very smart with your properties and stuff. Um, when did you get the two properties, and then how did you decide, like, this one I'm gonna run my salon out of, and this one's gonna be my, like, residential?
Um, well, the house that I live in, I purchased that when I was married, so that was in 2010. That was a long time ago. Um, my house was on the market for 6 months because no one wanted it. It was like rat infested.
Oh shit.
And it was for like 120 something. We offered 110 and we bought it for 110. In the beginning, my mortgage was like $700 a month.
Oh, nice. That's a great price. And you guys just went in, cleaned it up, fix a fixer upper style.
And then how much long after that? I think it was in 2017 we purchased this property, and then 2018 I got a divorce, and my ex-husband, the only smart thing he's done in his life is allowed me to keep the properties because he couldn't have kept them. He didn't make any money. Um, but he let me keep the properties because at the end of the day, they're gonna belong to my daughters, right?
Yeah.
Um, and so that's kind of what I used to sell it to him, and he actually listened because I was like, the houses are gonna be the girls. Now Danica will have a property and Diane will have a property, and God willing, if the market and everything acts right again in the near future, then I'll be able to get a third one, and that will be mine. But so yeah, this I was thinking of buying a commercial property, and everything was over $300,000 for a commercial property, and
Okay.
this happens to sit on commercial property, and it was on sale for 224, and someone already had it was already an escrow, and it fell through, and they called my
Oh
real
well.
estate. They said, hey, the house your client wants fell through. She wants to put an offer, and they did what is it called when they come and check to see if it's worth what they say it is?
An
Appraisal.
appraisal?
Yeah, they came and did an appraisal, and they were like, that house is not worth 224, worth 180,000. So I bought
Oh
it.
shit.
Yeah, so I got it for 180,000.
Nice. I love that. That's so dope. This is why it's so important to get appraisals before you buy your property,
Yeah,
and inspections. And um, I just interviewed a real estate agent earlier today. So, we talked a lot about real estate, but yeah, definitely get an appraisal, get an inspection, check the pipes, check the foundation, check the roofing, because those are going to be big ticket fixes if those are if there's issues with them. But I'm really glad that your ex-husband let you keep the properties, because if you bought them together, California is a community property state. So he could have fought you on that, but I'm glad he didn't. And especially since if he's not helping you financially, then by all means, like, at least let you keep the house that you're raising both your guys' daughters on in.
yeah,
And you have the sweetest girls. I've said that to you before, but her girls are so sweet. They're so well behaved. And I just think you have such a beautiful relationship with both your daughters and your mom. Like, I love seeing you guys on Instagram, like three generation besties, and it's just so cute. Um, how old are your girls now? It's been in
they are 10 and 15. Diane will be 11 in November, and Danica will
That's
be
crazy.
gonna be
Yeah.
6 in January.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, because the last time I saw them, Diane was like, she still felt like a baby, like she was still a kid. And now when I see her on Instagram, I was like, oh, she grown. Like your baby is like grown.
Yeah, not a baby anymore. I still treat her as so, and she knows she's my baby. They just had a baby brother. Their dad had a little baby, and so she's like,
Oh wow.
not the baby anymore. I said, you are at my house, and she's like, okay.
Wow. How are they taking to the new sibling?
Danica she's excited. Diane's a little jealous because she's
Yeah.
for so long,
Yeah.
but they
Um
see him, so they're kind of sad about that. So then they'll ask me can you have a baby so we can have a baby at home? And I'm like, hell no.
I'm like, hell no. Oh, well, that's good that, they're very accepting of their new half brother, especially Danica, that, like, but then again, like, your girls are really, really sweet girls, so I'm not surprised that they're embracing their baby half brother with open arms, because I know a lot of the times when there's, especially the older kid, if there's a divorce or whatever, um, they're not accepting of the new sibling or the new stepmom, or the new
Yeah.
relationship that their parents are in. So, um, what's up?
the, the stepmom's a different story, but the baby they're very excited about.
Well, that's good, because sometimes it's like if they're not into the stepmom, then sometimes they take it out with the new sibling too.
Yeah.
But I think that's very, very sweet, and um very big hearted of your girls. And I think
Yeah.
that's definitely a reflection on you as well. I think you did
I would
just
tell them, I want to buy the baby gifts, and they're like, no, mom, that's weird. And I'm like, why? We could just say you guys bought it because I love baby. They're
yeah.
And I'm like, let's go buy some little baby boy clothes. And they're like, no, that's weird. Leave it alone.
Oh, that's so sweet of you. And for the listeners, obviously Yvette and I talked more in depth about, her relationship with her ex-husband, the divorce and all of that. So I know a lot more than what you guys are hearing on this episode. So, that's definitely very, very commendable, and just big-hearted of you, because I know my petty ass would not be able to do the same. Um But yeah, I guess, I think we touched on everything I wanted to ask. But before I let you go, Is there anything you want to discuss that we did not get to discuss?
Um, Let me see. What can we talk about that I think would be like useful, you mean?
Just whatever you want.
That's what I want. No, just I guess just that it is important for women um to have something for themselves,
Yeah.
career wise, and then just to physically take care of ourselves. And because if you're a mother, to know that your kids are gonna stick with you forever, and boys will come and go, and
Yes.
careers will come and go, but
Yes.
we just have to. And just like you and I, right? We've been in situations where you've needed me as a friend and I've needed you as a friend, and it's nice because we have a lot of the same.
Mhm.
The fitness world really puts these really cool people in your space, and I'm very grateful for that. And I hope that,
Yes.
and if anybody um I don't know, needs a a friend or something, because that's how I got into this, right? I didn't know my friend, and I reached out to her through Instagram, and I said,
Yeah.
"Hey, I know you don't know me, and this is gonna sound kind of weird, but can we have lunch? Because I've thought of getting into bodybuilding, and I've seen that you've lost a ton of weight, and I've lost a ton of weight, and you went as far as competing." And she accepted my invitation, and we went out to have lunch, and now we send memes to each other all day long. So she's the one who
I
got
love
me
that.
with my first coach, and she was kind of just checking on me, like, my before I even met her in person, like, hey, you're not lifting right, your form is off, and stuff like that. So this is just an amazing community, and it's kind of something you wish on everyone, like, oh, I wish.
Yes.
And I've had older ladies who have gone through a divorce, and like, I kind of wish I would have done what you did when I went through my divorce instead of. And
Yeah.
I'm like, it's never too late. I see some bomb
Yes.
60-year-old ladies at the gym with better bodies than me, so it's not too late, you know?
Yes. Reach out to people. Don't be shy. Don't be scared. Most people are nice. We just have very serious resting bitch faces, or we're just straight in the zone. Because I've had girls tell me, be like, oh, they'll message me on Instagram, be like, hey, I saw you at Boulevard yesterday, or like, oh, I saw you at EOS the other day. I was like, oh, come say hi. And they're like, oh, I did, but you didn't respond. And I'm like, oh, shoot, I'm so sorry. I don't have my glasses. And sometimes I'm just in the zone. Or they'll be like, oh, I was going to, but I didn't want to interrupt. And I'm like, no, always interrupt me. Like, I'm always happy to say hi to you at the gym. Um, with a caveat, right? Like if you're a weirdo, like do not give me a thumbs up across the gym after I just squatted or hip thrusted, okay? That's weird. Don't do that. Okay, men, don't do that. No female likes your freaking thumbs up from across the gym, especially on leg day. So PSA. So yeah, I definitely agree with that, and I'll echo what you said about the community, that it's a very supportive community. Um and then what advice would you give to people who want to either get into doing hair or and slash or being their own business owner?
Um, I would recommend, because no one told me this part. I'm a hairdresser because my mom was a hairdresser when I was growing up, right? And I'm a first generation born in the United States. My mom were Mexican, and she used to do hair out of the kitchen. So I knew I had to do hair to not go hungry. But now, and like even with my daughter saying, well, I might just go to school to be, a cosmetologist. I'm like, go to school for business first, get some
Mhm.
type of knowledge in how to run a business. That way, you don't spend all your check at Marshall's, because that's a joke, but or like at Starbucks.
But not really.
Um, but I think that I would do something, if I could do something differently, it would be that, just to get educated in how to run my business. and not kind of just, I kind of just guessed and winged it. But but yeah, it's I've always said if I ever had to get another job, I would just push, because I've gone to school for dental assisting. I have gone to school for other things, and I just can't imagine doing anything else. You just have
Yeah.
to, whatever it is that you really love, you just have to push through it. Because as you know, because we've been friends for a while, if I want to pack up and go to Mexicali after work, I can pack up and go to Mexicali
Mm-hmm.
after my family ranch. If I want to go to LA and visit my tias, I can go to LA and visit my tias. If I want to go to Paris, I can go to Paris.
Oui,
Um,
oui.
yeah, something that, jobs, I wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think you're going to answer my next question, which is what is the best part and the worst part about being the boss woman, being the business owner?
yeah. Yeah, like I said, the best part is being your own, making your own schedule.
Yeah,
Uh, the
the
worst part is
flexibility.
uh, the worst part is just like right now in the times that we are, and everything, just like the little recession we're having, and people have started doing their own hair. Like my little client sitting in my chair, I scolded her when she got here, and I was like, "Roots." A lot of people have started doing their own hair, or just not doing their hair at all, because everyone's going through it right now financially, and so it affects people like me that
Yeah.
I literally have had one or two clients a day. Um, it's been really hard after COVID. It just has not been the same. I was making $1,000 a day pre-COVID, and I have not. I mean, I'm lucky if I'm not even gonna say how much, but I just have to make enough to pay my two mortgages, my car payment, and I've started using credit cards. Like I've never had to use credit cards before, and I've had to start using credit cards. So it is that part's a little scary, but with that same token, because I am a person of faith, and sometimes I have no idea how my bills are even getting paid for. And then I will have literally $7 in my bank account, and 2 days later, there'll be like $3,000 in my bank account. So it kind of gives me like this peace where, like, chill out, don't freak out. Like, it's gonna work out. I've carried you this whole time. You're gonna be fine. And I'm just like, okay. So that's been the hardest part, is having, you know, trust in my faith that everything,
Yeah.
because in all honesty, the way that the economy is and everything is, it's scary, you know?
Yeah. I love that. And I think that's such a beautiful message to, to end on, that just have faith. God will provide, God will take care of you. Um, I am slowly leaning into my faith. It's it's a relationship that I'm actively working on right now. Instead of swiping left and right on these apps, I'm digging a little bit deeper into my relationship with the man upstairs. So I think that is a very beautiful note to end on. And then last but not least, where can people find you, both personally and professionally?
Well, my salon page is Jesus Yvette Salon on Instagram. Um, I just started a new page for just like festival hair, because I do get a lot of people that come in from out of town, Coachella Fest. Um, I believe that one's called Jesus Yvette Coachella Hair. And then you can always find my personal page, Jesus Yvette.
Yes, and I will definitely put all of those in the description below. And like I said, yeah, that does work out of Indio. So if you guys are out in the desert, definitely go hit her up. She is amazing. She's had over 20 years of experience. And I think for these services, like for nail and hair, like you definitely want someone who knows their craft, right? Because you're not trying to leave looking crazy. But at the same time, I think you also want someone that you enjoy being around, because you're going to be sitting there for a hot minute, And, unless you want just to sit there in silence and have it be weird and awkward, like definitely find somebody you vibe with. Um, and, as you guys heard, Yvette is so honest and transparent, and I always have a good time when I'm in her chair, but gas is $7 a gallon, so I'm sorry I cannot make it out to the desert. I drive a Jeep and I just can't afford that right now. But again, thank you so much for your time, especially since you still had a client. So thank you so much to your client for letting me take up your time, because I know this is where you guys would chit chat and have your girl chats, and I actually love the chit chat and like the talk with my hair lady and my nail lady. Um, so again, thank you so much, and I can't wait to see you in person.
Likewise, take care of yourself.
Thank you. Bye.